Ayrton Senna da Silva didn't just race Formula One cars, he transformed what it meant to be a racing driver. His name transcended sport itself, becoming a symbol of Brazilian pride and human excellence. Today, 30 years after his death, grown men still cry at the mention of his name. Current Formula One champions study his racing footage like sacred texts, searching for secrets that elevated him beyond mere mortals. Senna didn't simply win races, he redefined the boundaries of what was possible behind the wheel of a racing car. From the humble karting tracks of São Paulo to the glamorous circuits of Monaco and Silverstone, this is the extraordinary journey of how a middle-class Brazilian boy with an obsession for perfection became the most beloved and revered driver in Formula One history. His story is one of genius, passion, tragedy, and ultimately, immortality. March 21st, 1960, São Paulo, Brazil. Milton and Neida da Silva welcomed their first son into a middle-class family with modest expectations. Ayrton seemed destined for business school, perhaps taking over the family's spare parts company. But for his fourth birthday, his father gave him a go-kart, a simple gift that would change the course of his life forever. That first kart changed everything. Young Ayrton didn't just enjoy driving, he became obsessed with perfection. While other children played with toys, he studied racing lines. While they watched cartoons, he memorized track layouts. By age 13, Senna was dominating Brazilian karting with an intensity that concerned adults. He demanded mechanical perfection, analyzed every corner, and approached racing with scientific precision. His teenage rivals faced not just another competitor, but someone who treated karting like others treated religion. The karting years revealed Senna's character: relentless pursuit of excellence, obsessive attention to detail, and an unshakable belief that anything less than perfection was failure. These traits would define his entire career. In 1981, 21-year-old Senna made the crucial decision to leave Brazil for European racing. Against his family's wishes, he moved to England to compete in Formula Ford. The transition was brutal. New culture, new tracks, new competition. But Senna adapted with characteristic determination. He won the 1982 British and European Formula Ford 1600 championships, then moved to Formula 3. His 1983 British F3 campaign became legendary, 13 wins from 20 races, often by massive margins. The F3 battles with Martin Brundle at Silverstone showcased Senna's racecraft and controversy in equal measure. Aggressive moves, questionable tactics, but undeniable speed. Even then, Senna divided opinion: brilliant or reckless, genius or dangerous. These European years taught Senna that raw talent wasn't enough. He learned English, studied European racing culture, and developed the professional approach that would serve him in Formula One. The shy Brazilian boy was becoming a polished racing machine. March 25th, 1984, Jacarepaguá, Brazil. A 24-year-old Ayrton Senna lined up on the grid for his very first Formula One race, driving for the tiny, underfunded Toleman team. The car was uncompetitive, the budget threadbare, and expectations almost non-existent. But where others saw obstacles, Senna saw only opportunity. The breakthrough came 6 races later at Monaco, on a day that would become legend. Torrential rain turned the streets of Monte Carlo into rivers. Visibility shrank to nothing, and seasoned champions tiptoed their way around the circuit. Senna, the rookie, did the opposite. With supernatural precision, he carved through the field as if the rain didn't exist. Lap after lap, he hunted down Alain Prost's dominant McLaren, closing what had seemed like an unbridgeable gap. Then, just as Senna was about to challenge for the lead, the race was stopped for safety. Officially, he finished second. Unofficially, he was first. That single drive defined the year. It showcased Senna's otherworldly talent in wet conditions, his blistering speed, and his uncompromising all-or-nothing mentality. The paddock took notice. Teams realized this wasn't just another rookie. This was a once-in-a-generation driver who had changed the conversation in Formula One. 1985 brought Ayrton Senna to Lotus, a team steeped in history and engineering pedigree. For the first time in his Formula One career, he had machinery that could match his extraordinary talent. The breakthrough came almost immediately. In just his second race with the team at Estoril in Portugal, the skies opened and the track was drenched. What followed was one of the most dominant wet weather performances in history. Senna didn't just win, he destroyed the field, finishing over a minute ahead of his nearest rival. For those who dismissed his Monaco drive the year before as a fluke, Portugal silenced the critics forever. The Lotus years became the crucible in which Senna's legend was forged. He proved he wasn't only a rainmaster, but a driver capable of brilliance in every condition, on every circuit. Even when his Lotus wasn't the fastest car on the grid, Senna consistently delivered results that seemed impossible. In Spain in 1986, he held off Nigel Mansell's superior Williams in a wheel-to-wheel duel that lasted for lap after lap, an exhibition of tactical intelligence as impressive as his raw speed. Yet these years also revealed Senna's complexity beyond the cockpit. He was deeply religious, often describing moments of divine connection during his greatest performances. He was politically vocal, unafraid to challenge Formula One's safety standards and its growing obsession with money over drivers' lives. And he was emotionally unpredictable, capable of great warmth and charm one moment and cold, ruthless aggression the next. By 1987, Senna had transformed. No longer just a fast rookie with raw potential, he had become a complete racing driver. He understood the politics of the paddock, mastered the art of manipulating the media, and began to develop the psychological warfare that would later terrify rivals like Alain Prost. The pieces of his myth were falling into place, and the sport was beginning to realize it was witnessing the rise of something extraordinary. 1988 marked a turning point in Formula One. Ayrton Senna joined McLaren, pairing with Alain Prost to form what many still call the most talented teammate lineup in history. It was a partnership destined not for harmony, but for fireworks. Their rivalry would come to define not only their own legacies, but an entire era of the sport, pushing Formula One into unprecedented levels of drama, intensity, and global attention. The statistics alone are staggering. Between 1988 and 1991, McLaren dominated utterly, winning 50 of 64 races. Senna captured 3 world championships, 1988, 1990, 1991, while Prost claimed the 1989 crown. Yet the numbers only scratched the surface. Behind them lay psychological warfare, bruised egos, and 2 men locked in a battle that transcended racing. Prost represented calculated perfection, smooth driving, methodical setups, political savvy, and patience. Senna was his opposite, pure intensity, uncompromising aggression, and an almost spiritual belief in his destiny behind the wheel. Their philosophical clash made conflict inevitable, turning every race into a duel not just of speed, but of ideology. The rivalry reached its peak in Suzuka, Japan, the stage of 2 of Formula One's most infamous championship deciders. In 1989, Senna and Prost collided at the chicane. Prost retired, Senna rejoined and won, only to be disqualified in a decision many saw as politically charged. Prost took the title, but the bitterness only deepened. 1 year later, the roles reversed. Senna, furious over what he viewed as injustice and determined to reclaim his crown, refused to yield. At Suzuka's first corner, he deliberately drove into Prost's Ferrari, eliminating them both and securing the 1990 title. It was controversial, ruthless, and unforgettable. These weren't just racing incidents, they were philosophical battles about the very meaning of competition. How far should a champion go to win? What lines should never be crossed? Prost believed in playing the long game. Senna believed winning justified everything. Together they elevated Formula One into myth. Their rivalry wasn't merely about points and trophies, it was about 2 visions of greatness colliding, forever changing how the world understood what it meant to be a champion. By 1994, Ayrton Senna had already secured his place as a legend, but he was still searching for new challenges. He joined Williams, finally landing the dominant machinery his talent had always deserved. The season promised an epic clash with Formula One's rising star Michael Schumacher, a battle of eras that fans were desperate to see unfold. Instead, 1994 became Formula One's darkest year. On Saturday, April 30th, Roland Ratzenberger was killed during qualifying at Imola.
Ladies and gentlemen, the San Marino Grand Prix organiser received a report from the Maggiore Hospital in Bologna. Roland Ratzenberger succumbed to injuries sustained in the accident which took place at Imola circuit during Saturday qualifying practice, April the 30th.
The paddock was shaken, but the race went ahead. On May 1st, during the San Marino Grand Prix, Senna's Williams left the track at 190 miles per hour at Tamburello Corner. The 3-time world champion was killed instantly.
Terminato 5 minuti fa, purtroppo conferma confermano quella che era stata la diagnosi clinica di morte cerebrale.
Ayrton Senna, 3 times world motor racing champion, has died after crashing during the San Marino Grand Prix.
Motor racing champion Ayrton Senna has been pronounced clinically dead.
The reaction showed the scale of Senna's impact. 3 million mourners filled the streets of São Paulo for his funeral. The Brazilian government declared 3 days of national mourning. Across the world, fans and drivers alike grieved openly. The sport had lost not only a champion, but its defining spirit. Senna's death became the catalyst for the most sweeping safety revolution in motorsport history. From redesigned circuits to stronger chassis and the eventual introduction of the HANS device and Halo, the changes that followed have saved countless lives. In the end, Senna's final contribution to Formula One was ensuring that future generations of drivers would never face the same fate. Current champions study his techniques, wear his helmet designs, and speak his name with religious reverence. The Brazilian Grand Prix remains a shrine to his memory. His impact extends beyond statistics: 41 wins, 80 podium, 65 poles, 3 championships. Senna proved that individual brilliance could transcend mechanical limitations, that passion could triumph over calculation, that racing could be art as well as sport. Modern Formula One is safer, more professional, more global, partly because of foundations Senna laid. His institute continues charitable work across Brazil. Streets, schools, and stadiums bear his name. Ayrton Senna da Silva didn't just race Formula One cars, he transformed what it meant to be a racing driver. His name transcended sport itself, becoming a symbol of Brazilian pride and human excellence. Today, 30 years after his death, grown men still cry at the mention of his name. Current Formula One champions study his racing footage like sacred texts, searching for secrets that elevated him beyond mere mortals. Senna didn't simply win races, he redefined the boundaries of what was possible behind the wheel of a racing car. From the humble karting tracks of São Paulo to the glamorous circuits of Monaco and Silverstone, this is the extraordinary journey of how a middle-class Brazilian boy with an obsession for perfection became the most beloved and revered driver in Formula One history. His story is one of genius, passion, tragedy, and ultimately, immortality.